He hadn't planned on ever saying it out loud. Not to anyone. Not even to himself. But the truth had a way of creeping back in, especially at night, when the world went quiet and all that remained were the things left unsaid. I should have fought harder for her. The words came like a whisper, but they carried the weight of years. Can Yaman sat alone in his apartment, the city lights of Rome flickering outside his window, as if trying to echo something he had buried deep and tried to forget. But forgetting her? That had never really been an option. It had been years since they last spoke. Not a fight. Not a final word. Just silence. And yet, her absence was louder than any argument they might have had. Her name was never far from his thoughts, though he hadn't spoken it aloud in a long time. He didn't need to. She lingered in memories, in glances across crowded rooms, in the songs that randomly played in his car, in the scent of jasmine on a stranger's scarf. Demet. He used to tell himself it had been timing. They were young. Caught in a storm of fame, expectation, and fear. But deep down, he knew that wasn't the whole story. The truth was simpler, and crueler. He had been afraid. Afraid of how deeply he felt. Afraid of losing control. Afraid of needing someone more than he had ever admitted. And so, he distanced himself. Slowly. Subtly. She noticed. Of course, she did. She always noticed everything. At first, she stayed. Tried to reach him. With quiet words, soft touches, long looks filled with questions she was too patient to ask out loud. But then she stopped. One night, after a wrap party for their series, she stood next to him on the rooftop of a hotel. The stars above them, the noise of the city below. And she asked, "Would you fight for me?" He looked at her. Truly looked. Her eyes were tired, but still kind. Her voice steady, but fragile. And he said nothing. Not because he didn't want to. But because his pride wrapped around his throat like a noose. She waited a few seconds. Then she smiled. The saddest smile he had ever seen. And walked away. He never ran after her. Not that night. Not the next day. Not ever. He watched her move on. Publicly, at least. New projects. New friends. Rumors of a new love. She handled it all with grace. With elegance. With the same quiet strength that had once made him fall for her. And he stayed quiet. He told himself it was better that way. That if she was happy, he should be content. But he wasn't. The silence didn't bring peace. It brought torment. Every missed call he never made, every message he deleted before sending, every moment he could have said something, but didn't. Regret, he learned, wasn't a sharp pain. It was dull. Persistent. A shadow that never quite left. And the worst part? He still saw her everywhere. Not physically. But in the role she played. In the interviews she gave. In the way her voice had matured, her laugh had changed. He saw her becoming someone he no longer knew, and yet, someone he still loved. He had dated others. Briefly. Superficially. But none of them reached him the way she had. None of them made him feel like he was home. His friends noticed. "You still think about her?" they'd ask. He never answered. But his silence said enough. One evening, scrolling through old photos, he came across one he had forgotten. It was a candid shot, her laughing, head tilted back, eyes closed. He had taken it without her noticing. Back when everything was still new. He stared at it for a long time. Then, without thinking, he whispered, "I should have fought for you." And for the first time in years, he cried. The kind of cry that doesn't make a sound but leaves your chest aching. Because he knew, he had lost something irreplaceable. And it was no one's fault but his own. As more time passed, he began to notice the little things he once took for granted. How she always left a note before leaving. How she used to hum while brushing her hair. How she instinctively reached for his hand when crossing the street. Memories came back not in order, but in emotion. The warmth of her presence. The sting of her absence. The silence of what could have been. In an interview, a journalist asked him if he believed in second chances. He smiled, paused, and said, "Sometimes the first one is all you get." The quote made headlines. Fans speculated. But no one knew. No one would ever know what she meant to him. Because he had made sure of it. He had locked it all away, like a secret too precious to be spoken aloud. And yet, on nights like this, he found himself wondering, did she ever think about him? Did she ever replay the moments in her mind the way he did? Did she ever regret walking away, or did she know, even then, that he wouldn't follow? He would never ask. That was the price he paid for his pride. And now, it was too late. Or so he thought. Until the day he saw her again. Time moved on. But his heart didn't. Ken had mastered the art of looking okay. He smiled in interviews. Thanked fans for their support. Took on new roles. Posted the right photos at the right time. But underneath it all was the truth no one ever saw. He was still stuck in a moment that had long passed. A moment he let die in silence. Years had gone by since that rooftop. Since her question. Since he stood still while she quietly walked away from a love he didn't have the courage to name. And somehow, despite everything he had accomplished, the only thing that lingered was the ache. It wasn't constant. It came in waves. Sometimes in the middle of the night when sleep wouldn't come. Sometimes on long flights, staring out of airplane windows. Sometimes when a scent reminded him of the perfume she used to wear. Or when he heard a song they once listened to together. Little things. Cruel things. It wasn't just regret. It was absence. Her absence. One night, in a hotel room in Rome, everything came crashing down. He had just wrapped a successful press tour. The reviews were glowing. Social media was buzzing. His management was thrilled. But he sat in silence, staring at the ceiling, feeling nothing. He opened his notes app. This time, he didn't delete what he wrote. "I should have fought harder for you. I should have told you that I was scared, terrified, even. Not of you. Of what you made me feel. Of what it would mean to truly let someone in. But I realize now, all I did was protect myself from the very thing that could have healed me. And I lost you for it. I hope you're happy. I hope someone looks at you the way I never had the courage to. I hope he never makes you question your worth. But if you ever wonder, just know this, I loved you. In silence. In pride. In fear. And I'll probably love you for the rest of my life." He saved it. He never sent it. Because sometimes, the most honest confessions aren't meant to be heard. They're meant to free the person who finally says them. He began talking about her, slowly. Not by name. But through moments, in vague interviews, in cryptic quotes on Instagram, in pauses when people asked about love. In one particular interview, the host asked him, "Have you ever truly fallen in love?" He hesitated. For the first time in the entire interview, his expression changed. He looked down for a moment, smiled sadly, then looked back up. "Once. But I didn't fight hard enough for her." The interviewer tried to dig deeper, but Ken shook his head. That was all he would give. The clip went viral. Fans speculated. Theories exploded online. Old photos resurfaced. Everyone had an opinion. But she didn't comment. She had stayed silent since the day she walked away. Never used his name for attention. Never addressed the rumors. She had moved on, gracefully, with dignity. And maybe that's what hurt the most. That she had loved him so purely, so quietly. And had let him go just the same way. Some nights, he would scroll through her old messages. The voice notes. The playful jokes. The ones where her voice trembled a little, like she was afraid she was giving too much of herself. He played one in particular over and over again. It was short. Just her voice saying, "Don't forget to breathe today, okay?" It wrecked him every time. She had cared for him in ways he didn't even know he needed. And he had given her uncertainty in return. He visited old places where they used to film. Sat at the cafe where they once laughed for hours between takes. Ordered the drink she used to like. Watched as strangers passed by, wondering if any of them could sense the ghosts that lived there now. His fame only grew. His following multiplied. But the bigger the spotlight got, the lonelier he felt beneath it. Because she wasn't watching anymore. He dated. People speculated. But nothing stuck. No one could match the weight of what he had lost. Every smile felt compared. Every moment felt borrowed. He realized something cruel about time: it doesn't heal everything. Sometimes, it just teaches you how to live with the wound. One evening, he attended an award show. Cameras flashed. Questions were shouted. He gave all the usual answers. Then someone asked, "Is there anything in your past you would change?" He looked directly at the reporter, expression unreadable. "Yes," he said. "There's someone I should have fought for." And then he walked away. That night, back in his hotel room, he wrote in his journal again. "Maybe this is what I deserve. To have loved deeply but spoken too late. To have known what it was, but not who I was when I had it. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even expect to be remembered. But if you ever wonder, I never stopped thinking about you. Not once. Not ever." Years from now, people will talk about his career. About his roles. About the projects he led and the fans he inspired. But he'll remember her. The woman who asked one simple question, "Would you fight for me?" And the silence that answered her. He'll remember the sound of her laugh. The way she looked at him like he was more than the mask he wore. The way she stood beside him in a world that only saw the surface, and tried even when he wouldn't. He'll carry her memory like a scar. Visible only to him. But always there. Because some confessions don't come with closure. They come late. They come raw. And they come wrapped in regret. He should have fought harder for her. And now, he finally knows it.